What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name is Michael Roman, aka Allfires, and we just got some major updates about Avengers Doomsday. Ever since that first round of casting announcements, when it was revealed we were getting a lot more Fox X-Men actors returning, we've been speculating as to what their role in the plot will be, which universe they're actually in, and why Marvel Studios, after all this time, would choose to include them. Well, today's update actually addresses just that, as well as talks about what's going on with Avengers Doomsday's production and filming. We're going to break it all down, which industry insider this came from, what they exactly said, and examine these two new details, one about the role of the Fox X-Men universe in the multiverse, and another with Doom's motivation. But first, if you could grab the subscribe button. We do daily Marvel content at the channel. That's all we do. Thanks to everyone who's been subbing lately and helped grow the channel. If you haven't already, I just kindly invite you to do so. It's the #1 thing you can do to support us, plus it'll enter you for all the giveaways if you want. Stick around to the end of the video. We get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Okay, so this latest Avengers Doomsday update comes from none other than trusted industry insider Daniel RPK. You guys can follow him over on Twitter at RPK News. He is definitely one of the most trusted sources in the Marvel scoop game, so much so in fact that huge editorials like The Hollywood Reporter and Deadline have in some cases sourced him for his Marvel scoops. Take that as you will. He goes on to say this, quote, "Some news about Avengers Doomsday. They're wrapping filming this week with reshoots planned for a later date. I've heard that Doom has a vendetta against the multiverse. Whatever that means, feel free to theorize. This part isn't too surprising, but a big chunk of the plot involves the X-Men universe being cursed to destroy other universes, MCU's Earth 616 included." Okay, so let's just run down all three of those. We'll start quickly with Avengers Doomsday wrapping on filming, which we also know has been confirmed because big actors like Chris Hemsworth have already gone on to start filming their next project. So at least for now, the first round of principal photography has been shot. And the reason I say it that way is that when Daniel RPK says with reshoots planned for a later date, they're not going to be exactly reshoots because we know they haven't finished the script and it was always planned to wrap on this first amount of principal photography and then come back at a later date. That's why they moved the release date from May all the way to December. So of course people are going to make a big deal out of it about how big the reshoots are going to be on this film, but at least some of them are going to be more principal photography for scenes that they haven't shot yet. Just take that as you will. The next time this shows up in about 4 to 6 months when they start filming again and all of a sudden everyone's saying Doomsday is a mess. Now the next part is about Doom having a quote-unquote vendetta against the multiverse. Now this might make sense if said in a different way, where really he has a vendetta against those who are causing incursions, or his goal is to find the anchor beams from timeline to timeline and start killing them off. That could sort of be a vendetta against the multiverse, but this is sort of hard to explain because we don't know exactly what's happened to Doom in his past and why his issue wouldn't be with specific others and not just the multiverse as a whole. But when you take it and think about the fact that he's going to remake the multiverse as Battleworld, his new world in continuity, well, it sounds like he has a better plan for how to do all of this than the one that's going right now. And so his vendetta against the multiverse can really just mean his vendetta against the way things are. He thinks he can do it better. Enter him breaking the multiverse and creating Battleworld. Now he says on this next part that it's not too surprising that the plot revolves around the X-Men universe. Yes, that part is not surprising, but cursed to destroy other universes, including the MCU Earth's 616. Well, we know in the comics, at least in the 2015 Jonathan Hickman run, that it was the 1610 and the 616 that were on a collision course to fight against each other. But he says this in a broader sense, and whatever that Fox X-Men timeline is, it's cursed to destroy other universes, plural, not just the Earth 616, as in it's happened before. Now, the huge question here is obviously why, but before we dive into that, I think it's important to note that at least here at the channel, we've been holding to the theory that Deadpool and Wolverine are in the same timeline as Monica Rambeau and Beast and Charles Xavier and Binary. It's all one 10,005 Fox X-Men timeline in an attempt to make it simple. Well, as simple as it can be when we get to Avengers Doomsday. But now I'm not so sure about that, and let me explain. Look, I am not in this video going to attempt to rehash everything that happened in the multiple X-Men continuities that were retconned and then retconned again, and then maybe even retconned a third time. There are way too many details to try to sift through, and honestly, there are some other channels who have done amazing breakdowns and details of that. Although I do think it's probably pertinent to go back and watch all those films, what we can say about the Fox X-Men universe is that it was a mess, including time travel. And so if Marvel's going to attempt to say that something about the history of the Fox X-Men universe may have been the impetus, the actual beginning of the problems with the multiverse, and that it's already killed off timelines, that would be crazy, because A, it would basically be tying the canon of those old movies in specifically to the events of what's going on now in the Multiverse Saga. That, again, would be absolutely wild, instead of just bringing those characters back, being like, hey, all that stuff that happened back then, before the MCU even existed, it actually kicked all this off. And again, I use the word wild because what an ask to have fans who are showing up for Avengers Doomsday have to remember or even know half of what happened in some of those X-Men movies, some of which were released before a small portion of the Marvel fandom was even born or old enough to remember those films. It would be wild to say, hey, if you really want to keep up with the plot of Avengers Doomsday, you've got to go watch all those old Fox X-Men universe movies too. I just don't see Marvel Studios doing that, but you can't have it both ways. If the Fox universe is truly cursed to destroy other universes, there's got to be a reason for that, and that's got to pertain to something that's already been happening in that universe. Now, there are some simple explainers for recent activity, like, Monica Rambeau is in the wrong timeline. That's going to create an incursion because she's not supposed to be there. The longer she stayed, the bigger the footprint, yada yada. We all heard Reed Richards in Multiverse of Madness, but this makes it sound like it's actually the X-Men timeline's fault, and really, what else can you point to than the mess of the continuity they got themselves in with time travel and the rest? Now, one of the things about Doom's motivation as far as having a vendetta against the multiverse, obviously that's going to have to be explored as well. And so now we're talking about the back history for the X-Men timeline and the back history for Doctor Doom having to be explained and how they relate to each other. And this all having to go down in basically the first act, and then they've got to explain what this has to do with the MCU. It's just when we start doing videos at the channel and talking about all this stuff, it sounds like all this other stuff is more important than the actual movies and TV shows that Marvel released during the Multiverse Saga, than the characters that they spent time introducing, and that just has me scratching my head because, well, why do it in the first place? Well, there are videos on that in the future, but you guys let me know all your thoughts down below about any and all of this newest leak for Avengers Doomsday. And my final thought is, try to remember when the quote-unquote reshoots come around, at least part of that was meant to be additional principal photography. People are going to try to say that the movie's a mess. That's not what it means. Let me know all your thoughts down below quickly. Let's get into the giveaway stuff. All right, we are still giving away PlayStations. One is in just a couple of weeks for the Marvel Zombies drop. If you want to be entered to win, or for any of the other giveaways at the channel, just make sure you're sub. Make sure you leave a comment because it's truly random. More videos you comment on, better chance you have of winning. Make sure to hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on to keep up with the videos. And if you like today's video, hit the like button. My name's Michael Roman. Find me on Instagram and Twitter at I'mFires. Find me on all other platforms under the name AllFires. And while I would sincerely appreciate you checking my music out, thanks for checking this channel out. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.